Auditing and lineage are two terms that you're going to hear a lot about. You'll see on the exam, and in real life people will ask you questions, they will refer to this, and in this video I want to talk about what it is. That's a very simple concept, but why we need it. First of all, understand that when I'm working with a data warehouse, the data that's in that data warehouse is not stored as it's created. Data warehouses don't store data as it's created. The data is created when it's input into the online transaction processing or the production database when the sale takes place or when the action happens. We're going to go pick that data up with our extraction package and then load it into the data warehouse and probably manipulate that data or scrub it just a little bit. So our OLTP, online transaction processing databases, are populated as business occurs, and the source and purpose of that data is generally self-explanatory. If I look into the products table in our OLTP database, then the data in that table is generally self-explanatory based on the columns that are there and so forth. If I look into the table that has our sales numbers, it's probably going to be self-explanatory. And data gets added when a transaction occurs. Pretty straightforward. I can look at the rows. One complete row is one complete transaction, right? Well, the data warehouses are populated from that OLTP data, and we don't necessarily pull every bit of that data out of our production or our OLTP database. We're going to pull it out of there based on various conditions. Things we want to measure, things that we want to describe, things that we want to compare. We're not going to pull this out every day. We may pull it out once a week, once a month, once a quarter. And so this data is not going to be as current as what's in our production databases, and all the data in our data warehouse won't come from one little online transaction processing database, most likely. In classes and in demonstrations, you have this neat little one database that I connect to and pull data that helps to understand it. I'm not making fun of that, but out there in the real world, you hear these stories all the time. Well, we have some data in this Access database, then we have some over here in the SQL database, and then of course we have these spreadsheets over here. This is where our standards are kept and so forth. And so I'm going to have to reach into all of these sources, pull that data, coagulate it, scrub it, whatever you want to call it, dump it all into the data warehouse in a way that the relationships mean something. Now, data can be informative based on different aspects. First of all, the data itself. It may tell its own story. The source of the data may flavor or change the color or the meaning of the data. The volume of the data can tell us things about the data. And these characteristics all may change over time. And as a matter of fact, they often do. As our business grows, as the economy grows or shrinks, as different things happen, it's going to affect our business, and that's going to affect our data. So auditing and lineage help identify these aspects. We can store auditing and lineage data. We can store data within our data warehouse that tells us this data was loaded on this date by this person running this program, and the reason we did it, the reason we didn't do it, whatever. We can put any kind of information in there. Generally, we put timestamp information and source information, and that will answer most of the questions that we have. We can describe the source, the duration of the load, who performed the load, all those sorts of things. Now, keep in mind, some of the programs that we can use and some of the applications that we'll use, SQL Server Integration Services, SSIS, we'll use to write our integration packages, our ETL packages. This provides SSIS logging, and this functionality pulls some auditing and lineage information for you. So this is something you want to look at. We'll touch on it briefly, but you want to see if this gives you enough information. A lot of the people that I see with data warehouses kind of stick data in there manually so they can get everything they need that's unique to them or their situation. But auditing and lineage just helps us track the data that's in our data warehouse, where it came from, when it came in, because we may go back later and say, you know what, wait. We were running a huge promotion right before Christmas last year. We do not want to have those numbers in our standard rising forecast numbers because it's skewed by the vast discounts we had. And so auditing and lineage would let us go back and pull based on those timestamps when that came in and take care of that. So anyway, auditing and lineage, almost as metadata, really is a form of metadata, tells us something about our data that we have in our data warehouse.